Hi everyone, I'm Jackie and I'm here to help you with your U.S. naturalization process. Today, I'll go over how to file your application for naturalization online. This application is known as the N400 form. In this video, I will explain how to submit your N400 form online, upload documents, pay for your application, track your case, and give you some important tips and mistakes to avoid. If everything goes well, it should take you about an hour to fill out the complete application. I divided the video into different sections with timestamps, so feel free to jump to the part that you need help with. All right, grab some snacks and a drink, and let's start your naturalization journey. Part 1, Gathering Documents. I find it helpful if you have all of your documents ready before you start the process. The documents you need depend on your case, but here are some documents that I suggest you have. Your green card, your birth certificate, your social security card, addresses you've lived at in the past 3 or 5 years, employment history in the past 3 or 5 years, travel history in the past 3 or 5 years, your children's birth certificates if they are under 18 years of age, and if you apply under marriage-based, you should also have marriage certificates, divorce decrees, your spouse's birth certificate or certificate of naturalization. If you're a male applicant, you might need Selective Service registration or related documents, and I'll go over that in more detail when I get to that section. Part 2, Creating an Online Account. Before you submit your N400, you have to first create a USCIS account. Now, if you've submitted any online application to USCIS before, you most likely already have an account. You can use the same account to start the N400 application. For those of you who are new, check out this video, How to Create a USCIS Online Account before going to the next step. Just a side note, make sure to apply online through the official USCIS website, which is USCIS.gov/N400. I've seen third-party websites that allow you to apply online and end up charging you extra fees in addition to the USCIS filing fee. So make sure you're on the official website. Also, if your family is applying for the N400, each member needs to have their own account. Part 3, Signing into your USCIS account. There are 2 ways you can do this. First, you can go to the website and then click File Online. Or you can go to this website and click Sign In. Both should get you to the same login screen. Enter your email address and password and then click Sign In. The next screen will ask you to enter your verification code. This is called two-factor authentication, and all USCIS accounts are required to have this. Depending on how you set up your account, you will receive the verification code via an authentication app, text message, or email. In my case, I used text message and I got the code right away on my phone. Enter the code here and click Submit. A little tip here, always have a backup code. You can either create one when you're setting up your account or go back into the settings later to add that. I've seen applicants lose access to their account because they lost their phone or changed their phone number. The backup code always allows you to get back into your account if that happens. Part 4, Navigating your USCIS online account. Okay, after you successfully logged in, this screen will show up. There are a few things you can do, such as edit your account profile or complete the e-verify for your employers. We're going to click the box that says my.uscis. The first time you click this, it will ask you to choose an account type. For most of you, choose I am an individual applicant, petitioner, requester, or supporter. Click Submit. You won't be asked this again. After you hit submit, you will reach the Welcome to your USCIS account screen. Again, there are a few things you can do here, such as changing your mailing address or rescheduling your biometrics appointment. Right now, select File a Form Online. In the next screen, click the drop-down menu, scroll down, and select N400 Application for Naturalization. Click Start Form. It will show you two options. The first option is to fill out form fields online, where the system will guide you through the questions. Or you can upload a filled out PDF form, which allows you to upload a pre-filled N400 application. I personally prefer the fill out form fields online and will choose this option. It's always a good idea to check your eligibility before you start the process. I've made a video that goes through all of the requirements, so make sure to check out that video here. USCIS has a nifty online tool where you can answer a few questions to determine your eligibility. You can access that without an online account. To access that tool on this screen, click Determine My Eligibility. Just answer the questions, and it will confirm if you're eligible to apply. Be aware though, if you see this screen at the end of the questionnaire, you may not be eligible to apply for naturalization at this time, and you should figure out why before going to the next step. If you're eligible, you will then click Go to the Application for Naturalization N400. The next screen pretty much goes through the whole naturalization process, from eligibility to the oath ceremony. There's some important information here, so spend some time reading it through. USCIS allows you to file your N400 90 calendar days before you complete your continuous residence requirement, which is called early filing. Make sure to use the official USCIS early filing calculator to determine when you can apply, and don't apply the day of eligibility. For now, let's scroll to the bottom and click Next. This screen provides you some tips on how to complete your form online. Once you start your form, your answers will automatically be saved when you go to the next section. You also have the ability to finish part of the application and then complete it later. An important tip here, your answers will only be saved for 30 days. If you don't work on your application for more than 30 days, USCIS will delete all of the answers and you have to start over again. Part 5, Application for Naturalization. If you're ready, click Start to begin. The application is divided into 7 main sections, and I will go through each of them. I suggest filling out the form in order, but you can also use the menu on the left to jump to each section quickly. The form is somewhat interactive. That means depending on your responses, the form might skip some sections. For example, if you choose General Provision, the form will skip the sections about your spouse. Here are a few important tips. You shouldn't leave any important information blank. Any missing information may delay the application process, and you don't want that. If you see a yellow alert, you should provide a response. That means it's not required, but USCIS encourages you to respond. But if you see a red warning, you must provide a response. That means the information is required to submit the application. Section 1, Getting Started. All right, let's dive into the first section, Getting Started. USCIS revamped this section. Instead of the 5-year or 3-year eligibility, the form now lists General Provision, Spouse of U.S. Citizen, as well as other options. You can only select one option. General Provision just means you have been a lawful permanent resident for at least 5 years. So, for example, if you got your green card through work, asylum, DV lottery, you were sponsored by your family, or if you've been married to a U.S. citizen for at least 5 years, you should select General Provision. In this example, I'm going to choose spouse of a U.S. citizen. Keep in mind that your spouse has to be a U.S. citizen for at least 3 years, and you have to be married to the spouse for at least 3 years in order to be eligible for this option. Once you make your eligibility choice, click Next. It will then ask if someone is assisting you with completing the N400 application, such as translating the questions for you. If you answer yes, the preparer will have to sign the application also before the final submission. You can use someone to help you prepare and interpret the application. However, unless you're eligible for exemptions or accommodations, you must be able to answer these questions in English during the N400 interview. You can find out more about exemptions or accommodations through the official USCIS website. I'm going to answer no and click Next. Section 2, About You. First question, what is your current legal name? This is the name on your birth certificate unless it changed after birth by marriage, divorce, or court order. First name and last name are required. Middle name is optional. Next, have you used any other names since birth? Here, you can enter any variation of your name you've used, such as aliases, nicknames friends and family call you, or your maiden name, which is your name before marriage. This is mainly for a background check, so try your best to include everything. You can use the Add Another Name to enter additional names. Next question is, would you like to legally change your name? If you've been thinking of changing your name, now is a good time, since you can change your name for free. But keep in mind, it may delay your oath ceremony. If you want to change your name, enter your new name that you want to have and then click Next. Next is your contact information. First is your daytime phone number. USCIS doesn't usually call you and ask you for personal information. They only call if they need to reschedule an appointment or oath ceremony, so make sure you don't fall for scam calls. And if this is your mobile, also check here. Next is your email address. This should be auto-filled with the email address that you use to sign up. If you prefer to use a different email address, you can enter it here. Next is your physical and mailing address. First is your current physical address, which is where you are living right now. If you live in an apartment, don't forget to enter the apartment number. USCIS will do a quick check to verify you entered your address correctly and might suggest a recommended address, usually with a longer zip code. You can decide to use the original address you've entered or the recommended address. Next, you need to enter when you moved to this address. Just a reminder, in the US, we always enter the dates in the order of month, date, and year. Next, you need to enter your current mailing address. This is where you will receive all of your USCIS notices. If it's the same as your physical address, you can check here. If not, enter your preferred mailing address. For general provision applicants, you need to list all of your physical addresses in the last 5 years. For marriage-based applicants, it's the last 3 years. So click Add an Address. Enter the address and the duration you lived there, and then click Save Entry. Once you've entered all of your addresses, click Next. The next section is asking about special accommodations. You should only answer yes to this question if you have a physical or developmental disability or mental impairment that prevent you from learning the civics questions or understanding English. You cannot qualify for a disability exception based on illiteracy. And if you answer yes, you need to upload Form N648, Medical Certification for Disability Exceptions, that is filled out by a medical professional. For most of you, choose No and click Next. This section is about when and where you were born. First is your date of birth. Again, enter the date in the format of month, day, and year. Next question. Were one of your parents a U.S. citizen before your 18th birthday? The reason they ask this question is because if either of your parents was a U.S. citizen before your 18th birthday, you might already be a U.S. citizen. For most of you, choose No. Next is your country of birth. You can use the drop-down menu to choose your country of birth. The next section is your immigration information. You can find most of the information on your permanent resident card, which is your green card. The information should be the same whether you have a conditional green card or a permanent green card. When did you become a lawful permanent resident? This is the resident since date on your green card. Again, remember the date format of month, date, and year. Notice this warning if you apply too early. Using the old form, I saw a few applicants apply too early, but they didn't find out until after the interview. It seems like USCIS added a new warning to prevent that from happening, which is great. Next, what is your A number? The A number is the USCIS number on your green card. It can be located either on the front or back of the card, depending on when the card was issued. It consists of a 7, 8, or 9-digit number. After entering your A number, click Next. All right, check this out. USCIS added this new section to make your journey a bit simpler. You now have the option to update your immigration status with the Social Security Administration in the N400 form. That means you won't have to visit the Social Security office after your oath ceremony. Yay! It's not required, but I strongly recommend you to choose yes. Once you select yes, it will ask if you authorize the disclosure of information from the N400 application to the SSA office. Choose yes. If you request a name change as part of Form N400, USCIS will send your updated name to the SSA office. Next, enter your 9-digit Social Security number. Then the system will ask you if you have a USCIS online account number. You will only have a USCIS online account number if you previously filed a form that has a receipt number that begins with IOE. If you don't know, just check I do not have or know my USCIS online account number. It's not a big deal. Click Next. The next section is your biographic information. Enter your gender, then your ethnicity, Hispanic or Latino, or non-Hispanic or Latino. For race, you can choose more than one race. Then for your height, remember in the US, we use feet and inches, the old British system. And for weight, yes, we use pounds, not kilograms. Use the drop-down menu to select the color of your eyes and hair. Click Next. The next section is information about your employment and schools you attended. Again, for general provision applicants, it's the last 5 years, and for marriage-based applicants, the last 3 years. Click the Add Entry box to start. First, choose whether it's employment or school. I'm going to use the drop-down menu to choose Add an Employer. Then enter the name of your employer. Having a job is not a requirement to become a U.S. citizen, so if you're unemployed, you have nothing to worry about. Next, enter your occupation. The drop-down menu has a very general list, and it definitely doesn't cover every occupation. If you can't find your job listed, choose one that's closest to your job, or select Occupation Not Reported, Unknown, or Invalid. Don't stress about this portion, it's not critical. Next, enter how long you worked at this company. If you're currently working for them, check the box, I currently work here, and it will populate present. Next, enter your employer's address. Click Save Entry. If you need to add additional employment or schooling, choose Add Another Entry. Otherwise, click Next. The next section is your travel history outside of the U.S. This is to make sure you meet both the physical presence and continuous residence requirements. Have you taken a trip outside of the United States in the last 5 years? This question is a little bit misleading because this only applies to general provision applicants. For marriage-based applicants, you only need to worry about the last 3 years. If you click yes, the new verbiage under the question actually states that. So, for general provision applicants, list all of your international trips in the last 5 years, and for marriage-based applicants, the last 3 years. It's important to list all of your international trips as accurately as possible here, since it might affect your eligibility to apply. This includes trips to Canada, Mexico, and any cruise ship outside of the U.S. Remember, you only need to list trips that are more than 24 hours. A lot of you told me that you can't remember all of your trips. Here are a few things you can do. First, go to the official I-94 website by U.S. Customs and Border Protection. You can request your travel history there. However, I've heard it's not always complete, especially if you have a lot of travel by car to Mexico or Canada. Other places that you can retrieve your travel history include frequent flyer accounts, email confirmations from your trips, paper or electronic itineraries, stamps on your passport, credit card statements, your photos. Once you've gathered all of the details, click Add Trip. Enter the date you left the United States, then the date you returned to the United States. Just a side note, the date you left the U.S. and the date you returned to the U.S. count as dates you were here in the U.S. Next, use the drop-down menu to choose the countries you've traveled to on that trip. If you visited more than one country, click the Add Country button and repeat this step. Once you've entered all of the information, click Save Entry. Then repeat the step again to enter additional trips. If you enter something incorrect, you can always go back to that trip by either choosing Edit or Delete. Once you've entered all of your trips, click Next. Section 3, Your Family. First, it will ask about your current marital status. In this example, I will choose married since I'm applying under marriage-based eligibility. The next question asks, is your current spouse currently a member of the U.S. Armed Forces? In this example, I will choose no. Next, how many times have you been married? Somehow this question confuses a lot of applicants. The number of marriages includes your current marriage. So if you're single, the answer is 0. If you're currently married and only married once, the answer is 1. If you divorced once and remarried, the answer is 2. And if you divorced and remarried the same person, the answer is also 2. I'm going to enter 2 in this example and click Next. For general provision applicants, USCIS no longer requires you to enter your spouse information, so the system will skip the spouse section automatically, and you can head to the next section, moral character. For marriage-based applicants, first enter your current spouse's legal name, date of birth, and the date you got married. Then it will ask if your current spouse's physical address is the same as your physical address. Remember, if you're applying for marriage-based, you have to live with your spouse at the same address. So I'm going to choose yes and click next. Then it will ask, when did your current spouse become a U.S. citizen? If your spouse was born here, choose by birth in the United States. If your spouse was naturalized, choose Other. If you choose Other, it will ask what date your current spouse became a U.S. citizen. Enter the date your spouse was naturalized, again in the format of month, date, and year. Just a reminder, in order to qualify for marriage-based, your spouse has to be a U.S. citizen for at least 3 years. So if your spouse was naturalized recently, you won't be eligible. Next, it will ask your current spouse's A number. Enter the A number on your spouse's green card, or you can just click, I do not have or know my current spouse's A number. How many times has your current spouse been married? Again, remember to include their current marriage. Next is how many children you have. Now you only need to list children under 18 years of age, so this simplifies it. Enter the number of children. Then you need to enter the information for each child. Click Add a Child. Next, enter your child's current legal name, only the first name and the last name and date of birth. Next, it asks, where does your son or daughter reside? That means, where does your child live? And it has to do with child support. If your child doesn't reside with you, you'll need to upload proof of child support, such as money you send to your child regularly. I'm going to choose reside with me in this example. Next, it asks, what is your son or daughter's relationship to you? The options are biological son or daughter, stepchild, or legally adopted son or daughter. I'll choose biological daughter. Next, it asks, are you providing support for your son or daughter? This question confuses some people, but if they live with you, you are providing support for them. I'm going to choose yes in this example and click Save Child. Not providing child support shows poor moral character and is one of the top reasons to get your N400 application denied. Then repeat the step to add any other children under 18. Once that's done, click Next. All right, stretch break. Remember, it's always a good idea to have someone review your application before you hit Submit. We provide various review services to make sure your application is error-free, so make sure to check that out on our website. All right, let's continue. All right, now let's say you didn't fill out the whole application all on the same day. So when you log back in, it will say when this draft will expire if you don't make changes. The application will start back at the beginning, but all of the information you entered is in there. Review it and find where you left off. I'm going to go to Moral Character. Section 4, Moral Character. Good moral character is very important to USCIS. In this section, you'll answer questions on citizenship claims and voting, paying taxes, party or group affiliations, crimes, immigration proceedings, and attachment to the U.S. Constitution. Most of the questions start with, have you ever, which means, has something ever happened anywhere in the world at any time? So it's not just in the U.S., but also in your home country. And it's not just the last 3 or 5 years, it's your whole life. As you go through these questions, take the time to understand what each question is asking, especially if someone is helping you fill out the form. Because during your N400 interview, the immigration officer might ask you these questions to confirm your answers and make sure you understand the questions. Have you ever claimed to be a U.S. citizen? That means, have you ever told anyone that you are a U.S. citizen? You shouldn't have told anyone you're a U.S. citizen yet, so the answer should be no. Next, have you ever registered to vote or voted in any federal, state, or local election in the United States? Since you're not a U.S. citizen yet, you should not have registered to vote or voted in any U.S. election. I'm going to choose no and click Next. Do you now have, or did you ever have, a hereditary title or an order of nobility in any foreign country? That means, do you have any title such as king or queen or knight? If you do, you have to renounce them when you become a U.S. citizen. I'm going to choose no in this example. Click Next. Do you currently owe any overdue federal, state, or local taxes in the United States? The emphasis on this question should be currently, which means now. So if you've owed taxes before and paid them off, your answer should be no. I personally suggest you to pay off all of your taxes before filing, but I understand that's not possible for everyone. So if you do owe taxes, you need to answer yes. Just make sure to upload any IRS payment plan and have documents to show that your payments are up to date. Since you became a lawful permanent resident, have you called yourself a non-U.S. resident on a federal, state, or local tax return, or decided not to file a tax return because you considered yourself to be a non-U.S. resident? These are terms used by the IRS to determine whether you need to pay certain taxes. Non-U.S. resident or non-resident alien just means someone who doesn't live in the U.S. If you're applying for citizenship, you shouldn't have selected either on any of your tax returns. So I'm going to choose no and click Next. The following 5 questions are about organizations that go against the Constitution of the United States. If you were involved with any of them, you may lack good moral character, and that will likely affect your eligibility for U.S. citizenship. I'm going to choose no for these 2 questions and click Next. Again, I'm going to choose no for these next 3 questions and click Next. The next set of questions are also focusing on good moral character. Go through each of them and make sure you understand all of the words. If you need help with the meaning of some of these words, check out this video. I'm going to answer no to all of them and click Next. The next set of questions is about whether you have worked in some of these groups. I know some of you have mandatory military training in your country, and that's totally fine. If you did have military training, you should answer yes to this first question, and you need to provide additional information later in the application. I'm going to choose no to the other 2 questions. Click Next. The next group of questions is about weapon use and training. I'm going to answer no to these questions and click Next. The next 2 questions are about child soldiers. I'm going to answer no to these questions and click Next. The next section is about crime and offenses. You will see a yellow warning sign reminding you that you need to answer yes, even if someone, such as a judge, told you that the crime is no longer on your record or you do not have to disclose the information. Again, the question is, have you ever? If you do answer yes, then the system will ask you to enter the details of each incident. I'm going to answer no for this example. The next question confuses a lot of applicants in the old form. Have you ever been arrested, cited, detained, or confined by any law enforcement officer, military official, or immigration official for any reason, or been charged with a crime or offense? For applicants with simple traffic tickets, it's not a big deal, but I suggest you to answer yes to this question because traffic tickets are citations. Now, if your traffic tickets involved alcohol or drugs, led to an arrest, or severely injured another person, you definitely need to provide evidence that those tickets are resolved. In this example, I'm going to choose yes and click next. Then you need to add the information about the traffic ticket. Click add. Under what was the crime or offense, enter traffic ticket. What was the date of the crime or offense? You can enter the date of the traffic ticket. You can skip the question, what was the date of your conviction or guilty plea, if that's not applicable to you. Where did the crime or offense occur? Enter the country, city, and state that you got your traffic ticket. What was the result or disposition of the arrest, citation, or charge? Enter paid the fine and attended traffic school. There's a limit of how many characters you can enter here. And you can skip the question, what was your sentence, if that's not applicable to you. Click Save. Use the Add button to add any additional tickets using the same steps. Once you've added all of your tickets, click Next. And I do suggest one more thing for your traffic tickets, so make sure to watch until the end. For the next question, this is tricky, so you need to pay attention. If you received a suspended sentence, were placed on probation, or were paroled, have you completed your suspended sentence, probation, or parole? Well, for most of you, this question is not applicable, so just leave it blank. Click Next and proceed to the next question. The next set of questions is about illegal activity. Questions related to prostitution, illegal drugs, polygamy, illegal gambling, etc. Again, USCIS is evaluating your moral character. If you answer yes to any of these questions, it's probably a good idea to consult an immigration lawyer before applying. I'm going to answer no to all of these questions and click Next. This section is about immigration proceedings. It's about whether you've been deported or removed from the United States. I'm going to answer no to both of these questions and click Next. This next question is only for male applicants. Almost all men ages 18 through 25 who are U.S. citizens or immigrants, legally or illegally, living in the U.S., are required to register for the Selective Service. If you're not sure if you've registered, you can verify your registration at USCIS.gov. If you answer yes to the first question and no to did you register for the Selective Service, there will be a yellow warning sign explaining what to do depending on your current age. I also made a video that goes over more details, so check it out here. Since I'm a female, I'm going to choose no and click Next. The next set of questions only applies to applicants who were or are in the U.S. military. For most of you, the answer to these questions should be no. Click Next and move to the next section. Do you support the Constitution and form of government of the United States? Do you? I hope you answer yes. And do you know what the Constitution is? The Constitution is the supreme law of the land. I'm going to choose yes and click next. Okay, the next set of questions has to do with the oath of allegiance that you need to recite during the oath ceremony. Let's go over them. First, do you understand the full oath of allegiance to the United States? Do you know what that is? It's a promise to be loyal to the United States. I'm going to choose yes. The next question is new to the N400 form, and I've already seen a few applicants and even lawyers answer this incorrectly, so pay attention. Are you unable to take the oath of allegiance because of a physical or developmental disability or mental impairment? For most of you, the answer should be no. So be careful with this question, especially if you're asking someone else to fill out the form. I'm going to choose no. So now that you understand the oath and are able to take the oath, are you willing to take the full oath of allegiance to the United States? Remember, you have to take the oath in order to become a U.S. citizen. I'm going to choose yes and click next. The next 3 questions are about the duties that you have to fulfill as a U.S. citizen. If the law requires it, are you willing to bear arms on behalf of the United States? This question means during a war, are you willing to use a weapon to defend the United States? I'm going to answer yes. Next, if the law requires it, are you willing to perform non-combatant services in the U.S. Armed Forces? This means during a war, are you willing to help the U.S. Armed Forces by providing services that do not involve fighting? I'm going to answer yes. Last question. If the law requires it, are you willing to perform work of national importance under civilian direction? That means during a national crisis, are you willing to help out the U.S. government? I'm going to answer yes and click next. All right, these are all the questions on the N400 form. I hope it's not too difficult. The next section is about uploading evidence. Section 5, Evidence. Before we start, here's a couple tips. First, I suggest to not upload your supporting documents until you're ready to submit your application. I've seen a few applicants say their uploaded documents disappear when they didn't complete it all at once. So only upload all of your documents right before you hit submit. Second, when uploading evidence, try to be smart about what you upload. Don't give USCIS too little or too much. For example, instead of scanning hundreds of pages of your tax returns, upload your tax transcripts, which are only a few pages. So let's first go over how to upload your required evidence. You can upload evidence using a computer, phone, or tablet. The file format can be JPG, JPEG, PDF, TIF, or TIFF. If you're taking a picture of the document, make sure it's clear and readable. The maximum file size is 12 megabytes per file, and you can only upload up to 5 documents at a time. To upload a file, click Choose a File and then select the file on your device. If your document is in a foreign language, upload the original and the translated copy. The only required evidence you have to upload is your permanent resident card. Make sure to upload both the front and the back of your green card. However, depending on your case, you should upload additional evidence. So go through each section and upload evidence based on your case. One section that really confuses a lot of applicants is the child and spousal support evidence. If you live with your child and your spouse, you don't need to upload any evidence here. Just click Next. It will give you a yellow warning, but don't worry. You can just ignore it and proceed. You can upload additional evidence here that you want to provide. Next is additional information. Here, USCIS gives you an opportunity to provide any additional information for any of your answers. So click Add a Response. For applicants who have traffic tickets, under Section, choose Moral Character. Then under Page, select Crime and Offenses. Now choose the question, have you ever been arrested, cited, detained, or confined? Under Additional Information, you can enter, all traffic tickets have been paid, no alcohol or drugs involved, no injuries or arrests. Click Save Response. Click Next when you're done with your responses. Section 6, Review and Submit. First, it will tell you how much your form filing fee is. The fee will be the same whether USCIS decides to reuse your biometrics or not. The next section is Alerts and Warnings. If you see a red alert or yellow warning, read it carefully and fix what's wrong. Again, you can submit your application with a yellow warning, but you cannot submit your application with a red alert. Clicking Edit My Responses will lead you to the section that has the potential errors. It will show you what the error is with the red warning. Fix the error and then use the panel on the left to jump back to the Review and Submit section. Once you see a green check mark under Alerts and Warnings, you are good to go. Click Next. Here, it will give you an opportunity to take a look at all of your responses. There are two options to review your application. You can click Print, and it will allow you to print all of your answers in the online format. The second option is to choose View Draft Snapshot, which is what I prefer. The reason is because it will generate a PDF file that looks like the paper format if you apply by mail. I recommend having a family member or a friend help to review it as well. Once you're happy with your answers, scroll all the way down to the bottom and click Next. Here, you have to certify that all of the answers and evidence you've provided are complete, true, and correct. It's important that you take the time to read through and understand the statement. Check the box to confirm that you have read and agreed to the applicant's statement. It will then ask you to type in your full legal name as your digital signature. Click Next. Section 7, Payment. We're almost done. It will tell you once more how much your filing fee is. Remember, the application fee is non-refundable. So if your application is denied, you will not get your money back. It also notifies you that you will be sent to the website pay.gov to make the payment. Click Pay and Submit. Select how you would like to pay, checkings or savings account or debit credit card. Just a reminder, if you're using a debit card for payment, give your bank a heads up to avoid the bank blocking the payment for potential suspicious activity. Fill out your payment information, review it, and when you're ready to submit, click Continue. This will submit your payment and complete the final step of your application filing process. It will redirect you back to the USCIS website. And that completes your application. Congrats! Part 6, Managing your case. Immediately after you submit your application, you may see this message for a brief period, and you will not be able to see all of your case information. It will take a few days to show your case on the website, so don't be alarmed. After a few days, on your home page, it will show your cases. It will show when you submitted your N400, your receipt number, and you can download a copy of your submitted application in PDF format here. I suggest to download a copy of your N400 and review it before your interview. There are several tabs underneath that you can click. First is the case status, showing your current status of your case. In this example, it shows that your case is being actively reviewed by USCIS. The next tab is My Progress. This tab shows the estimated time until your case decision. Now, this time may not be accurate, so don't make any plans based on this. Next is the Case History tab, which shows the status in chronological order. Lastly, the Document tab shows all of the USCIS notices that they sent to you in the mail. If you don't get the notices in the mail, you can always print the PDF form here. It also includes all of the evidence that you've submitted. If you want to submit additional evidence after you've submitted your application, you can upload it under Unsolicited Evidence. However, USCIS is not obligated to review this evidence, so I suggest you to upload all of the evidence before you submit your application. If you need to contact USCIS, click Inbox under My Account. You can select New Message to select the drop-down for the type of message. Enter your question and click Submit. All right, so while you're waiting for your N400 interview, it's time to start preparing for it. Again, do not rely on the estimated time. Start studying now. I have all of the study videos, materials, courses, and services on my website and YouTube that will help you prepare for your naturalization interview, so make sure to take advantage of them. I'll add the links in the description as well. If you have any more questions, please reach out, and I will see you in the next video. Good luck studying.